Welcome to Chair Yoga with Lindsey Justice. Lindsey has always had a calling to help those that surround her. Lindsey is a registered Yoga Alliance instructor with a yoga teacher certification from Sparks Yoga and advanced yoga teacher training from Soulwork. Lindsey is a personal trainer and a certified aerial yoga trainer. And you know what? Her experience doesn't stop there. She also has extensive training in trauma-informed yoga. Trauma-informed yoga is centered around finding ways to help people navigate both physical and mental pain through yoga. Lindsey has also developed the PD Fit program, an exercise program designed to help those with Parkinson's disease. And now I present to you Lindsey Justice. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for being here with me, everyone joining live. I appreciate y'all taking this time to do something good for yourselves and by everybody in your lives by proxy. So we're going to take a minute here. Let's get settled into the room. Just settle into your chair and your space. You can take little sways side to side if that feels good, or if you prefer sitting in stillness, that's completely fine. And we're just going to do a quick body scan. Notice how we're feeling. Notice the physical sensations of the room. Maybe you have a cool chill. Maybe it's nice and warm. Notice your breaths. Every inhale, notice the quality of the inhale as you fill up. Notice how you feel when you exhale and empty yourself of the air that's no longer serving you. Just taking this moment to see how we're showing up today, how we're feeling, and maybe where our body's calling us to pay attention and send a little extra love. So before we start our class, we're going to pull ourselves into the present moment with some guided breath work. You can choose to just take deep inhales and exhales on your own count, or if you'd like to join me with some guided honeybee breath, we can do that together. I'll describe the breath work to you, and then we can all do 3 rounds together. So what our honeybee breath looks like, you exhale, emptying yourself of any air left in your system. You fill up through the nose, a long, slow inhale, and then we hold at the top just for a moment, full of air. And then when we return to our exhale, we keep our lips slightly pressed together, and we mimic the hum of a honeybee, or making an M sound with the back of your throat, like and we hold that hum. Beautiful. We hold that on the exhale until we're emptied out of air. So we'll do 1 round together, guided, and then after that you have 3 rounds of honeybee breath on your own count, taking your own time. So let's go ahead and exhale here. Exhale, exhale. And we begin our inhale, a long, slow inhale through the nose. Fill up. Hold at the top for just a moment. And pressing the lips together, we make our honeybee hum. And continuing for 3 rounds on your own breath. Inhale through the nose. Once we've completed our 3rd round of our Brahmari or our honeybee breath, we can let our breathing return back to its normal shallowness or depth. Settling into our chair, feeling ourselves connected to the chair beneath us, to the ground beneath our feet. We can inhale, getting nice and tall, stack the vertebrae. Feel yourself finding length even while we're seated down. Exhale. Let it go. Drop deeper into your chair. We're going to work from the head down, Starting with our neck, just working to alleviate tension throughout the body and some of our sweet spots where we tend to hold a little bit more tension, especially if you're sitting at a desk or in a place where you tend to have your head down or rounded back, things like that. So starting with our neck, we're going to bow our head, chin drops down to chest. Take a minute to bring your attention to your cervical spine here. Feel the rounding of the neck, the little bit of space we create for the vertebrae. If your tongue hangs out on the roof of your mouth, take a minute to release your tongue here and soften your jaw. And when we're ready, we can incorporate some movement, slowly rocking our left ear towards our left shoulder. We're not bringing the shoulder up to meet the ear. We're just letting the ear melt down towards the shoulder, not trying to make it touch all the way. And we hold here for a moment, bringing our attention to the right side of the neck where we're feeling the nice stretch. Keeping your attention here with every inhale, imagine sending that breath to the side of the neck, finding expansion. And with every exhale, maybe the ear drops a little bit closer to the shoulder. 2 more breaths just like that. Inhale. And exhale, find some depth. Last breath here. Inhale, fill up. And exhale. Let it go. Bringing our chin back towards our chest, hanging out here for just a moment. And continuing on, moving our right ear towards our right shoulder. Again, not craning that right shoulder up towards the ear, just letting the right ear melt down like you're wearing a 50-pound earring. Just dropping that ear closer to the shoulder. And with every inhale, we bring our attention to the left side of the neck where we're creating space. And with every exhale, maybe we find a little bit more depth, the ear dropping a little bit deeper towards the shoulder. 2 more breaths just like that. And on the end of your last exhale, taking your time to arrive there, we drop our chin back down to our chest. Taking one last pause here. And on the inhale, we slowly rise up, bringing our gaze back to neutral. Take a moment here. Inhale, looking out over the left shoulder. Shoulders stay squared, just letting your gaze turn to the side. Maybe even gently gazing behind you if that's comfortable and accessible. And exhale, slowly bringing it back to center. Take your time here. On our next inhale, we'll slowly turn and look out over that right shoulder. Shoulders and torso stay squared, just turning through the neck. Maybe we even peek back slightly behind us if that's comfortable. And on the exhale, we slowly unwind, bringing our gaze back to center. Fantastic. Bringing our focus to our shoulders now. We're going to inhale our right arm straight up tall, reaching to the ceiling. Take a bend in that elbow like you're patting yourself on the back. This may be the extent of your stretch through your shoulders and your triceps. If we're super tight through our arms, this is completely fine if we stay here. We also can take our left arm, bring it up underneath and support that arm and kind of find a little depth here. You also have the option to bring that left arm overhead to grab onto your elbow. This is going to be the most depth we can get into our stretch. So find the edge that works for you. Maybe just patting yourself on the back and holding nice and tall, chin up, proud gaze. Maybe as we hold for the next 3 breaths, you can take some movement to explore the edge of the stretch that serves your body best. Keep in mind, if we're reaching overhead, we don't want to round the back. We don't want chin to chest. We want to stay nice and lifted, nice and tall. 3 breaths wherever you settle. Taking your time on the end of that last exhale, we can lower our left hand down to our lap, gently lowering the right hand too. Take a moment here. Notice the sensations that you feel through that right hand. Maybe cool chills, warm tingles. Maybe you don't feel any sensations at all. That's all okay. We don't necessarily have an end goal that we're trying to reach, but we're trying to incorporate body awareness, more importantly. So when we're ready, we're going to mirror the other side now. Let's inhale that left arm nice and tall. Bend that elbow, pat yourself on the back, and feel that arm lengthening. You want to keep the elbow nice and tall. Vertebrae are stacked, chin is up. This may be where we stay to get our nice stretch through the shoulders, through the side body as well. Or if we want to get a little bit deeper, we can take the right hand, bring it around the front to hold on to our tricep and bicep to offer a little support here. If you want to go a little bit deeper into the stretch, you can take that right arm and reach it overhead towards the elbow of the left arm, just finding a little bit more depth here. Feel free to play around with some movement, dropping into the stretch that serves you best. And wherever you land, we have 3 breaths here together. Reminding ourselves to find length with every inhale. And maybe exploring a little bit of depth with each exhale. 2 more breaths. When you arrive at the end of that last exhale, we gently lower our right hand down to our lap. Gently let the left hand follow behind it. Take a moment, notice the sensations you feel through that left arm. Notice the difference in sides. We often forget that our sides don't feel the same. We tend to favor one side through our day-to-day. So again, just bringing that body awareness, noticing what's different, what we need to bring our attention to. When we're ready, we're going to sit up nice and tall. So bringing our backs off the back of our chair and letting our feet walk wider than the legs of our chair if comfortable. Toes will be pointed out to a V. And know that you can also turn your feet out as wide as you'd like to comfortably. Listen to your body here. This is going to be a big inner thigh stretch. So once we have our feet at the angle that we can find comfort here, we let our hands gently rest on the inside of our thighs. And we can start shifting to the right and to the left. Feeling out the inner hips. Noticing any spots where we carry tension. Our hips tend to be one of the spots on the body that we carry a lot of stored emotion, a lot of trauma. So it's pretty hard to find someone that can say, no, neither side of my hips are tight at all. Next time we shift over to the right, let's hold here to the right. Maybe we even look out over that right shoulder. 2 breaths here. And on the exhale, we can rock back through the center and continue on with our motion. Next time we rock over to the left side, we rock and we hold, maybe even looking out over that left shoulder. And on the exhale, we rock it out. Fantastic. Coming to stillness here, we can heel toe our feet to about shoulder width apart. Bringing our attention and a little bit of love to the spine. Now we're going to do some cat-cows, our chair cat-cows. Resting your hands on your laps, you're going to inhale, stack your vertebrae, get nice and tall, and when you can't get any taller, we start to hinge forward, letting the belly drop down towards the ground. When you hit the edge of your stretch and you can't hinge anymore, we pause here. Gentle lift of the chest, and this is our cow pose. And then when we make it to the exhale, we exhale, rounding the back. Shoulder blades separate, chin drops to chest. Think of a scared Halloween cat, or like you're making the C shape with your back. Again, we're going to do our cow. So we inhale, stack the vertebrae, get nice and tall, Hinge forward with that nice flat back. Gentle lift of the chest. And this time, let's scan the room, looking over the right shoulder and the left shoulder. We'll come back to center. Exhale, rounding the back, shoulder blades separate, chin to chest. And this time on the exhale, if it feels good, we can take small shifts side to side, or even small shifts forward and back, keeping that nice rounded shape through the spine. We're going to do one last round of our cat-cows. We inhale, stack the vertebrae, get nice and tall, hinge forward, gentle lift of the chest, and this time we can wag our tail, rocking our hip to the right and left, right and left. And we come back to center. On the exhale, rounding the back. Shoulder blades separate, chin to chest, taking all of the arch out of the spine. Maybe taking small rocks side to side or forward and back. Fantastic. And we can inhale, stacking the vertebrae. Reach your hands up tall overhead. On the exhale, we're going to drop our left forearm to our left thigh. Right arm stays reaching up tall, maybe just reaching toward the ceiling's enough. Or if you're comfortable, you can start reaching overhead, finding a nice right side body stretch. Feel the intercostal muscles just finding some space. And on our inhale, we rise back up, arms reaching to the ceiling. And on the exhale, right forearm to right thigh, left arm reaching up and maybe even over. Beautiful. Inhale, reach up tall, find length. Exhale, left forearm to left thigh again, right hand reaching tall overhead. If you're comfortable, you can look up to that right hand. And again, we inhale, rise up. Exhale, right forearm to right thigh, left arm reaching overhead. And maybe you look up at that left arm. Beautiful. Inhale, reaching both arms up one last time. Find so much length. And on the exhale, we'll flutter the wrists as we drop our arms down by our side. Fantastic. Sending a little love to the legs now. We're going to hold on underneath our right leg. Take a minute to just roll that ankle out. Get out all the snap, crackle, and pops. Take a moment to pause and reverse the direction of your circles. And we take a minute to point that right toe down to the ground. And now flex the foot back, pulling the toes back to the body. And again, point and flex and point and flex. And now we're going to send that right leg out long in front of us. Heel to the ground, toes pulling back to the body. So just setting that foot down and pulling the toes back, you can feel your calves starting to stretch. Say good morning. And you can feel the stretch running all the way through the back of that right leg. So maybe keeping that foot actively flexed and sitting up tall, this may be enough of a stretch for you. Or if you want to go a little bit deeper, we can bring our hands to the top of that right leg. Inhale, stack the vertebrae, get nice and tall. And on the exhale, we begin to hinge forward with a nice flat back as the hands start to crawl down the front of the leg. Hands can rest on the top of the thigh, top of the calf, reaching towards the toes. Maybe the hands rest on either side of the leg, reaching towards the ground. Find the edge of the stretch that serves you best. We're going to be here for 3 breaths. And remember not to force anything here. It's finding the stretch that serves your body best. It's easier to melt into a stretch than to try and force your way into it. Last breath here. When we arrive at the end of our last exhale, keeping your gaze down to the point of your right toe, we start to walk our hands up the legs, stacking the vertebrae, taking your time, bending that knee in. Take a minute to give that knee a hug, trying to squeeze it into the chest, maybe rocking it side to side, before ultimately sending it back down to the ground. Take a minute, shift your hips here. Notice any imbalances you may feel, any differences. One side might feel light as a feather, one side might feel like a ton of lead, or again, they might not feel very different. Just bringing that awareness back, scanning your body. How are you feeling? When we're ready, we're going to bring it over to the left side. So we hold on underneath that left leg and let that ankle start to roll out. Moving it and grooving it in one direction, and then taking a pause and reversing the direction of your circles. We take a moment now to point the toes down to the ground and flex the foot back. And again, we point and flex and point and flex before finally sending that left leg out long in front of us. Right foot is grounded down beside. Take a minute here to actively engage that left leg. So take the toes, pull the toes back to the body. Think of you're stomping on the brakes as hard as you can. Heel driving forward, toes pulling back to the body. Maybe this engagement of the leg will be enough, and that's all you need. If you want to drop in even deeper, you can bring your hands to the top of that left thigh. Inhale, stacking the vertebrae, get nice and tall. And on the exhale, we start to hinge forward with that nice flat back. Hands working their way maybe to the top of the calf, reaching towards the tongue or the toe of the shoe. Hands on either side of the leg, reaching towards the ground. You have options here. Find the edge that serves you best, and don't be scared to hold and melt into a stretch. You don't want to force anything. Listen to your body. We have 3 breaths here. Toes stay flexed back. When you arrive at the end of your last exhale, we slowly start to walk the hands back up the leg, keeping our gaze down towards our feet, stacking the vertebrae, and finally we can step that left foot in, wrapping our arms around the knee and giving ourselves a little rock and a little hug. Fantastic. And we can send that leg down to the ground. Coming back up the body to send a little love to our wrists. We often don't think to pay attention to stretching the wrists out too, but they need just as much love as anything else. So let's take a minute, spread the fingers as wide as you can. Try and find as much space through each finger as you can. And now ball them up, make a nice little fist. Let's do that again. Spread wide, ball them up. And now let's roll our wrists out in one direction. Take a moment to pause and reverse your directions. Beautiful. Now bringing our fingertips down, point your fingertips towards the tops of your thighs. And let them trace down, down, down until your fingers are actually touching the top of your thighs. And then we can let the tops of our fingers start to melt down as the tops of our hands start to trail onto our thighs. And we find this nice little bit of space through the fronts of our wrists. Be sweet here, don't force anything. We've got a lot of tiny bones that make up the wrist, and you want to be kind here. So as we hold, maybe we gently rock forward and back, finding a little bit more space. You can also play around with shifting side to side. Again, sweet, intentional movements here. Ready, we can slowly peel the hands back up off the ground, spread the fingers, close the fist. Let's take the left hand, hold your hand out like you're serving a plate of food to someone. Take the right hand, grab your fingertips, and help extend them down towards the ground. Find that nice forearm stretch here. So good. One more big breath. We can gently release the left fingertips, roll that wrist out a couple times. And now we extend the right hand out, palms up like you're serving a plate of food. Left hand can grab the right fingertips and help them trail their way down towards the floor, and we find our nice forearm stretch with the right hand. At the end of the last exhale, release those left fingertips. Ball up the right fist, roll it out, and let it go. Fantastic. Coming to our first and only big forward fold here. So good to get inverted, head in line or underneath heart. It's great for your cardiovascular health, great for blood flow, also great to calm down your mind. It's an all over beneficial thing to do. So we're sitting up nice and tall in our chairs. We're going to all do our first stop here together. So we inhale, stack the vertebrae, we're nice and tall. And then we begin to hinge forward on the exhale, forearms finding their way to our thighs. This may be as deep as we get. You're still giving the lumbar spine some space. You can shift side to side if that feels good and hang out here. If you want to drop a little bit deeper, you can let your hands start to trace down the legs, maybe resting on your calves. As we send the crown of our head forward and imagine your hips pulling back, keeping that length. Maybe this is where we stay. Maybe we reach toward the tongue of our shoes or the toes. And we always have the option to grab onto our forearms and just ragdoll here, just letting gravity take its toll as we hang heavy. Pay attention to what your spine is telling you here. How is that lower back feeling? How are the hips feeling? Maybe we hold in stillness, or maybe gentle rocks side to side serve us best. We've got 3 breaths here wherever you're at. Don't be scared to incorporate some movement or to try and drop in deeper. Listen to your body and find the edge that serves you best. 3 breaths here. When we make it to the end of our last exhale, taking our time to do so, we inhale, stacking the vertebrae. Imagine rolling up 1 vertebrae at a time. It's so slow and intentional. And your gaze stays down so you don't get lightheaded as we come back up from our inversion. Finally, once we've arrived all the way back up tall and the vertebrae are stacked, we can lift our gaze back to neutral. Fantastic job. Coming into our Shavasana, my favorite part of any yoga class now. We're going to shift back in our seats. Just letting your tush make contact with the chair first. And then once your seat is all the way back, we're going to roll back 1 vertebrae at a time, really intentionally here. Feeling out each corner of your back. Think of peeling a sticker. So you're peeling yourself back into the chair, nice and supported. Shoulders drop down, and we find length. Palms can rest up on your thighs or turn down, whatever you're the most comfortable with. We can close our eyes here, or if you're more comfortable, we can take a soft gaze, just letting our focus soften. And for the next 2 minutes here, we let our mind's eye try and find a little bit of stillness, a little bit of quiet. Imagining any space on the body where we're holding tension lets go and relaxes. Feel your nervous system calming down, reminding yourself that you're safe here. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. Bring your mind's eye to the beat of your heart. The metronome for your day. Feel yourself dropping heavier and heavier into your chair as you feel so supported, maybe the most supported you've felt all day. Taking our time to gently pull ourselves out of our Shavasana. I know it can be hard to leave this peaceful state. We can start wiggling our fingers and toes, just incorporating that little bit of movement back into the body, waking it up from its rest. If our eyes are closed, we can blink them open, or we can refocus our gaze if we've kept our eyes open. And as we bring ourselves back into the room, into the present moment, we're going to end this beautiful class with a couple of cleansing breaths together. So we drop our hands down by our side. Inhale, scoop the air up around you, reaching so nice and tall. On the exhale here, we roll the wrists out as we drop the hands down slowly. 2 more breaths. Inhale, scoop the air up around you, fill up. This time we're going to pedal the hands out in front as we exhale. Beautiful. And we've made our way to our last breath, the biggest, fullest breath we've done all day. Fill up, take your time. And on the exhale, we drop our hands down to heart center as we sigh it all out. Thank you, everybody, for joining me, for taking 30 minutes to do something so good for you, taking that little bit of movement that your body needs, and we'll thank you for. And thank you guys for joining me. As always, the light in me sees and honors the light in each of you. Namaste.